Go to a land I will show you, and I will make you a father of many nations. So Abraham left. He left all that he knew and was familiar with. The comfort of routine had access to what he needed. He left. No questions asked. He left with not even a map in his hands, just an instruction and a promise. Decades later, he still had no children, yet God had promised that he would be a father of many nations. God hadn't changed his mind, yet there was still no child in sight. I can hear Sarah laughing in the background as the affirmation of the promise to come was made. I can hear her laughing at the seemingly impossible situation after years of barrenness. How could she possibly explain to her peers who had grandchildren who were as old as the promise that her very own promised child was about to be brought to life, yet she had no tangible evidence to prove what she had heard? I can see Hannah faithfully going to the temple year after year after year, with no baby in her arms, but cupped hands filled with tears from all the mockery she received. Yet still she went to the temple. She continued to raise those hands and release those tears to her God, even to a point where she had no words left to say. And I can see Eli the priest walking in on her time and time again, not hearing a single word, but assuming she was drunk. Perhaps she was drunk on the tears that she choked on each time she left the temple without an answer to her prayer and returned home to ridicule with an aching heart. Yet Hannah returned to the temple year after year. I can imagine Ruth standing at a crossroads with her mother-in-law Naomi, still dealing with the freshness of the grief she felt. Yet she made a decision to serve through the hardship, the pain, the loss, and the suffering. She vowed to take full ownership of a culture and serve a God that was introduced to her by means of marriage. She had a choice to go back. Yet Ruth remained resolute in her decision, gleaning behind reapers, weathering harsh conditions because she vowed, "Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." I can hear the confusion in Mary's mind when she was told she was to carry and give birth to the promised Messiah. How could it be? No one would believe her. Her life was immediately in danger. Yet she believed and pondered in her heart everything the Lord had spoken to her. And the Messiah came, just as it was promised. He came, only to die a gruesome death. He knew it was coming. I can almost hear the crack in Jesus' voice as he cried out to the Father to take the cup of suffering from him. He cried, yet still surrendered and took on the Father's will over his. As difficult as it was, he took on those beatings and bore that cross. I can almost hear the pain and distress in Paul's voice when he penned, "I asked the Lord 3 times to remove the thorn in my flesh, but he replied with, 'My strength is made perfect in your weakness.'" And then there's me. No words left to say, no tears left to cry, standing but with weak knees, fighting but with feeble hands, heart aching, mind pacing, continuing to do good but feeling myself becoming weary in the waiting. I'm hurting, Lord. Will you forget me forever? How much longer, Lord? Will you look the other way when I'm in need? How much longer must I cling to this constant grief? I've endured the shaking of my soul. Would you breathe life into my spirit? Would you bring light to my eyes in this pitch black darkness? Or will I sleep the sleep of death? I have always trusted in your mercy. My heart will rejoice in your salvation. I will continue to sing my song of joy to you. For in all of this, you have strengthened my soul. And so, like David, I will sit in the silence of my distress and continue to trust in your salvation. For God, you have dealt bountifully with me.